you increase the number of results to make sure you're going to get enough results to, like the example I'm going to use today is finding Phil's effect on the universe. How many impressions has his work with LibriVox made? You're going to be surprised. It's not 100 and it's not 200. It's not even 500. Phil has been a busy bee, and he has, well, you'll see he has, I'm using the word impression in the advertising sense. If it passes before someone's eyes, that's an impression. So this is the place where you start your search. This is the search for, look in the upper left-hand corner again, where it says query, Chenevert and not podcast. Those three words and not podcast I put there because we found that there are a lot of podcast entries in the IA database, Internet Archive database, and I don't know what the hell, I don't know what the devil they mean. And until someone tells me, I'm just going to ignore them by saying not podcast. And here you see, I've chosen the fields it's going to give back to me for every record that has Chenevert in it. Creator, description, downloads, identifier, num, reviews, and title. Now there are two screens I have that tell you what these fields in the column are, which are useful to us. Okay, and the records that are returned, I'm going to download them in descending order by downloads. So the books that Phil has done are going to be returned to me in the order of the ones that have had the most downloads, next most, down to the zeros. I think Phil actually has a couple things that have 0 downloads, but he makes up for it. You got to pick the number of results you want Internet Archive to show us. I chose 700 because I know that's just a bit more than he has. And then the format of the data. CSV format is essentially Excel format, and I can handle Excel like ringing a bell. I just made that up, okay. And in order to see the results, you click on the search button. And by George, when you do, this little box pops up. It's a useless little box. Am I obscuring anyone's field here?
No, it's good.
It's a useless little box. You click on OK, and shoot, I got this. I'm trying to minimize this list of all the people. Shoot. How do I get this thing off?
There. When you go up to share.
I got it. All right.
Okay.
So when you click on the search button, this will appear at the bottom of your screen. And the name search parent 5 CSV is the file that which Internet Archive has created with your information in it. You click on that upward arrow and you get this thing that's is very handy. You click show in folder. And having clicked that, you see this. And at the right-hand side, you'll see search parent 5, which is what Internet Archive created. You double-click that, and you get this. Now here we have a spreadsheet, and it shows all the identifiers that you chose to the data identifiers: description, download, identifier, and title. And what you should do is expand the column so you can read what they have to say. And this is what I've done here. I've expanded the description column enough you can see some of the stuff in it. And then the number of downloads. Look at that creepy tails.
Good Lord.
Of a gun.
These are all just, this is all just stuff Phil's done?
Well.
No, this is Phil.
It's all Phil.
Well,
okay.
There's more than one Chenevert in the world now. This all looks like my stuff, but gee whiz, I'm amazed.
Very nice.
I doubt if there's many shinobears doing stuff for LibriVox though.
Well,
That's
did
true.
you limit it to LibriVox?
Yes.
Okay, you see, I have to admit I did not follow all that stuff. Now, I want to, this is astounding. I have to admit, I don't check this stuff. I didn't follow exactly how you did it, but you know, this says downloads. Now, a lot of, when you look at a book and it's got views, V-I-E-W, views, that is totally different from a actual download. So could you explain more about that?
Sure. I have no foggy idea.
Well,
Views I don't see in the Internet Archive information. From this advanced search page, the only thing that is presented is downloads.
gee.
And there is a text paragraph in the description of the advanced search where it says that downloads represents the number of times the data has been downloaded. And I have a feeling that maybe if someone goes and clicks on Ghost Breaker, but doesn't download it, that Internet Archive may count that as a download because you get something from Internet Archive down to your computer, but it's not permanently stored on your computer.
Oh,
so
okay.
they may be sort of misrepresenting that. But insofar as impressions, that works just as well.
I am
the
astounded.
Number of impressions. Yeah. Okay. And now I'm going to click down to the bottom of this downloads column and look at that. 22 fracking million 526,354 downloads or impressions. I did some formatting, making that line appear in yellow. I think that's amazing. But it shows that what Phil has been doing is not just a hobby to 6 or 7 people.
I am impressed. I must admit, I just have a lot of fun. That is very nice to hear. I appreciate that. Now,
can I mention something?
Sure.
I just looked up that 12 Creepy Stories book from the front end of Archive, just like the regular text box. And the number for views matches the number that was in here. So I think those are the same thing. Okay. Also, and I think what Bill was saying was right. Like when you click on it, just like in Project Gutenberg, if you go into and glance at the HTML and then pop back out on Gutenberg, that counts as a download because it downloaded the HTML to your screen. And on this, when you go in and look at the information on it, even if you don't play it, it's ready to play. So I think that counts as a download to your screen. Also, this is the general place where where all the LibriVox recordings are stored. So that's what is hit by every other thing that accesses LibriVox. Like if you were to go on the LibriVox page and click on something and play it from there, it hits the archive. It's not a million people going to Internet Archive and looking at that single page.
I wasn't sure about that.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Same with if you ever use the LibriVox app in your phone or an iPad, and you grab the recordings from there, the LibriVox recordings are coming from Archive.
Great.
And they play through the app, but they're playing from the archive if you stream it.
So, well, that would make sense since they're all stored on the archive. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I'm still impressed.
It's very impressive, but it's not like that's a million people who went to that page on Internet Archive and listened to the book. That's everybody who's ever listened to the recording from any.
Yes,
but still, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. That's amazing. Even just to click on it. And you know, I'm going to mention this when people bring up books in our catalog. I'm trying to think if they do that. They see cover art And that is, I'm told, it is to me too. If I see something that catches my eye, I will go look at it. I think that's a very important part, that as opposed to just a name, Zeke Snodgrass or whatever. But if you see a picture of like me, I love these space things where the muscular guy is struggling with a monster. Or the scantily, whatever. I like a beautiful picture, and that catches my eye. So that has a lot to do with people clicking on stuff. But thank you very much, Bill. Now, did you do? I have to confess, I did not follow all this advanced search, all the ifs and only this and that. I did not follow all that.
Okay.
What would you recommend if we wanted to start searching for books to read?
Okay. There is actually an internet page that talks about the Lucene searching, and it shows the format of the query strings. So you can say between downloads between 100 and 5,000, and dates between such and such. There are various search strings that can be created and put in that spot where I put in whoops.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Where I put in Chenevier, right there, up in the upper left-hand corner, you can put in anything. You can put in Florida, you can put in giant and earth, and it's very flexible. And there is that page that talks about the Lucene. I thought it was Lucerne at first. It's Lucene query format. Now,
okay.
Now, Phil, you had 22 million impressions. You made 22 million impressions. How long do you think it took Internet Archive to return that huge slew of data?
I have no idea. I'm spoiled by Google, but Michelle is raising her hand. Yes, Michelle? I can't hear you. I can't hear you, baby. Michelle? Oh, dear. We've lost Michelle.
Okay.
Michelle, I can't hear you.
Her mic must not be on.
She's not shown as mute. I'm looking at an old TV set, Michelle. But I can't hear you. I can't hear you, darling. Something's wrong with you. I can't lip read either.
If it was an old radio, you wouldn't expect to see a picture. It's an old TV. Why should you
expect
to hear sound?
An old TV, yeah.
TVs were never that old.
Oh, yeah. Remember them buttons? You'd have to. I used to be the channel saying, Phil, go change the channel to channel 3. And I'd run over and change the channel because I was a young'un.
I can remember when the knob would break, you'd have that that squeezy wrench thing that was attached to the peg so you could turn it.
Yes. Okay, never mind. This is nostalgia time.
Okay,
Michelle,
what do you think? Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. What were you trying to say?
I was raising my hand because I would like to know, and Bill almost answered my question. How long does it take to make a query like this? Because I can go to one book at a time that I'm following and see how many downloads or views there are on one book, but to have them all added together, that's fabulous. And I was wondering if you would,
after this meeting's over,
doing that for me right now.
I'm in a meeting right now
on screen for my stuff.
Sure.
And see how long it takes, and then Phil will see how it's done too. We'll all see it done in action. Can you do that?
Yes, I can, and it takes a minute, maybe a minute and a half. But I've got my I opened up the chat thing, and it's throwing everything off there. Okay, got it all. Now go.
No, you don't have to do that. It's just a.
Wait a minute. And Mary's waving her frog. I don't know. She has. I'm sorry. I'm interrupting everybody, but
I'm sorry. He's listening.
You have a new hat on. Okay.
You're
All right.
calling attention to yourself. Like,
So it
yes, I
takes
do
a-
all the time.
Takes a couple of minutes. I don't know. Michelle, this
I
is
don't
something.
want to put you on the spot, but I would love to see it happen.
What about Frank? Frank, would you like to see your counts?
Sure.
Okay, what's your
Kind of scary, but
what's your Internet
Ladies and gentlemen,
Explorer name?
just a second before we go off on this tangent here. Don't forget we have a demonstration of editing dramatic readings by Todd. Todd,
Okay.
I don't want to cut you short, but let's. You mind if we have one more demonstration?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, good. Bill, go ahead.
Okay, I'll try.
I got it.
In order to, I'm going to, Frank, I'll have to have your, am I still sharing my screen with you guys?
No, you aren't.
Well, hecky darn. Well, then here we are, we're back. All right, now you should be seeing my screen. I'm trying to get it. All right, now, here we are. I'm going to go to advanced search, and I'm going to go down here. What is your catalog name? Is that it?
yeah, it's Frank 249942. I need to get that changed.
Frank 249242, right?
No,
942.
249942.
Okay.
I don't know if Archive uses our usernames, uses our, username.
We'll find out.
I think it uses whatever name that you use on your, that shows up in the catalog.
Well, that's what I want. Okay, all right, I'm going to say we want the description, the downloads, and the number of reviews, and the title, so we'll know what one we're talking about. I'm going to sort by downloads, downloads descending. I'm going to say 500. Let's make it 200. And CSV format, I'm now doing the search.
Bill, you didn't highlight multiple items. I don't know if you meant to.
Oh, I certainly did. Oh my golly, now I got to go back.
No problem.
I saw them highlighted.
Yes, identifier.
But you have to use control
downloads.
when you press on the key.
I
There
guess
you
I
go.
must have let my hand off the control key for a second.
Yeah.
Creator downloads, name doesn't really help us at all. Title, and I could put in date. Oh, I took my finger off the control key. Bad, Bill. Bad,
It's
Bill.
okay, Bill. We still love you.
Okay, I'm just going to do these things, and I kept my finger on the control key. Let's do 200.
You lost Frank in the box.
Yeah, you've got to re-enter the search term.
Okay, thank you.
But what I was trying to say is the search term should be whatever name shows up in the finished cataloged project. So Frank, what is your?
That's what shows up on mine, yeah.
Okay. that's
Frank
sure.
249942.
Okay.
Okay.
all right.
And now, because of having interrupted it before, it's not letting me.
And I think all your search terms went away as well.
Yeah.
Oh my golly,
It's beginning to look
Into-
a lot.
Christmas.
Oh, come on now. Give him a chance here.
Frank, it
It's
won't let
not
you.
letting me. I'm going to just start Internet Archive all over again. And here we go, Internet Archive. Come on. Okay, advanced search. Let's come down. Frank.
There you go.
292,
There you
not
go.
Not
Okay.
podcast.
Yep.
Creator.
Creator.
Put your finger on the control button. There you go.
Description.
Yes.
Downloads.
And downloads and go down to just
Title.
title.
That's good enough.
And when we sort by downloads descending, come on. Downloads descending. I'm going to put in 200.
Now, what does 200 mean?
The number of rows in the result that it returns you
Oh,
in the
okay.
Excel file.
Okay.
And
This could be scary.
See if here we go. And the answer is
Okay. And the answer is Frank.
200
Nope.
results. And it's there it is. It's done. It's got it.
Well, let's
And
look at it.
show in folder. That's what I'm doing. And the answer is,
Okay, so it downloads. Okay.
Gave you an Excel file.
yes. And
Open them up. Open them up.
Read those out of it.
Yeah. Susanna Moody. Ella Wheeler Wilcox. G.K. Chesterton. Oh, yeah.
okay. Now, downloads, I'm going to highlight that field. Excuse me. Do an auto sum. And then way down here after 200, so it's going to be,
Since you didn't know how many he did, you just put in 200.
yeah,
right?
there you go. 92,623 impressions.
Slacking.
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad. That's a
For
lot,
a guy
Frank.
with a beard, it's not bad at all.
The guy with the beard. Okay, well, I'm going to use
It's
this
that
advanced
quick.
search.
It's that
Wow,
quick.
that is fast.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'm done.
Okay,
That's
well,
good.
thank you very much. I'm
Cool,
going to be
thank you.
using this to search for books. I'm going to put in, who knows what, science fiction or romance.
Yes.
Don't do a
And
lot of romance books, but
there
and
is-
and and look for actual books, and I'm going to put in public domain. Maybe there's a way to filter for that.
Does
Maybe.
Internet Archive have the term public domain in its entries?
No, but you can filter by year of publication.
Thank you. Year of
Very
publication.
good.
No.
Good. That would
Well,
work.
cool. Well, thank you very much.
I would
Now
just
we.
I would just add that Internet Archive is not always accurate in terms of the actual date. There are a lot of books I've noticed from India
Yeah.
that distort title pages and whatnot, and I'm not really sure why, but you really have to confirm what you see on Internet Archive.
Mm-hmm. One way to do that is to limit your search to the American Libraries collection for books, and then select by year, and they're generally very good, and
Excellent.
they're pretty accurate, and they will also, I'll scroll down and check, and a lot of times it'll say not in copyright or in public domain in the fields. Not always, but a lot of times it does. So that tells me that they've actually confirmed it.
All right. And what about, is it 1924 we're up to now?
Yep.
For American USA, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Now we're going to move to the wonderful world of the stage, dramatic readings, dramatic performances.
I have to take off, you guys.
Okay. Well, thank you, Colleen.
I'll see
See
you.
you,
All right.
Colleen.
See you next time.
Bye.
All right.
So,
Go have fun. Whoops. Who are you
Oh.
still? We're viewing. Oh, here's Todd's screen. Todd.
He's fast.
Fat. Todd, whoop it out on it, boy. Whoop it on
Well, I
us.
wanted to make sure that in case there are more people that need to leave,
Gee,
to talk
look
about
at-
this.
Look at the work.
Okay.
Holy
So
mackerel.
I was just going to quickly walk through the process.
I'm already impressed.
When I go
I'm
through
scared.
and take a look at something, I have a spreadsheet I keep going on with the plays that I'm getting ready to offer. And so this is what everyone looks like. We start up, we got the name, and we got the author up here. Can you see my cursor?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is Gilbert from Gilbert and Sullivan. He wrote a whole lot of plays by himself. He's already in the author database, so otherwise I'd have to put his dates and so on up here, or translator, so I know I'd have those. I've gone through the whole play and I've indicated what characters are in what acts, so I can figure out how many sections I need. And I put the description that's in the cast list, because that's what I want people to use in their voice credit. Mr. Effingham, a member of a romantic family, read by, and so on. And I've already made up a public domain summary, which doesn't have any spoilers. So I'm ready to cut that into a place when I go and offer the play. We offer the play, everyone signs up, they send their files in, and finally it's time to go through and do the editing. And so here I am taking a look at my screen for a particular project. I will note that, yes, this is very wide. I went and spent $150 or whatever and bought a double width computer screen a couple years ago. So I can have the narrator file up here at the top open. It's going to become the master for the entire act that I'm going to assemble. And then I have all the character files open. So this is for a particular act of a play, and everybody who sent it in a reader file, I have all those open at the same time as well. And I have the script. You can't read some of these things over here, but if you come over and you click on the little thing here, that's the icon for Audacity, it will show up a list here of all the character files that you have open. And that way you can click on them to bring them up to the top of the pile that's here.
Damn.
Okay.
Then, now that I've gone through and I'm getting ready now to finish doing the cast list, in the narrator file, I've had the narrator read all those names and the character descriptions. Blah, 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 read by, blah, 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 read by. So I have all that from the narrator. So now it's very simple for me to come down to a reader file and catch that first little bit that's in their file that says, Stephanie, read by, and I can take that and I can replace what the narrator said for me with it. One reason I do this is in case a reader disappears, I've got the narrator saying what they need to say.
Oh, cool.
So that gets me going on getting the cast list going. And now when I really want to start editing all of the reader files in there, I go through to all these files that are packed up here. I adjust all the levels in them using the replay gain thing that's in the Analyze tab up here. So I have them all at the same level. That may not be right. Some people have a lot of energy in the low part of their voice, the high part of the voice, and Analyze doesn't do it quite right. It's not as good as Checker, but it is right inside Audacity, so it's easy to use. And then I have the narrator track up here, which I've made into the final master track for the whole thing. And I have all the gaps that the narrator left where readers are going to go. It could be one reader comment and then a narrator. It could be a whole bunch of readers back and forth before they come up to another narrator comment. But into that space, I'm going to have to go and put stuff. I come down to a reader file, looking at the script, and I probably listen to a couple words at the beginning, a couple words at the end to make sure I'm grabbing the right piece. It's pretty easy to tell in this particular file that somebody sent me where all the starts and stops are. Well, look at this one down here. I can't tell where this guy's stopping and starting. So I always have to go and listen to a couple of words to see if I make sure I'm grabbing the right piece and then pasting it in. Do that ad infinitum, blah, 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 cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste.
Just a second. You say you take a file, let's say Mary, and you actually remove it from their file and paste it?
I say cut because I'm working on a file that I have downloaded from the Magic Window. So there's still a master available at the LibriVox database. I'm going to take my copy of it, and by cutting out everything I paste, this file will keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yes, okay.
As I work my way along it.
That makes sense.
That way I always know where I am.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep track of where I am because it's always going to be the next thing on the left.
Excellent. Okay.
As I'm coming along here, I may go and put a label track. You know, if you do Control B in Audacity, you've got a label track. And I may go and put a label in here that tells me I'm going to do something later on. It could be that I'm missing a part and I'm just trying to assemble something early before I've got all the parts from Todd, and Todd's parts are late, so I'm going to put little labels on them here so that when that part finally comes in, I'll be able to kind of scroll along and figure out where they go. Scene changes, whatever. I do that whole pass, and finally I end up with everything all assembled. At this point in time, I've only listened to the beginning and the ending of various phrases. So now I do a second pass where I go through and I smooth out the gaps between people. I check to make sure the volumes are all consistent every time I have a gap. For example, if someone's going to interrupt somebody, I may want to make the person who's interrupting a little louder and the person who's being interrupted a little softer. So I play games with volumes there. And I stack voices, which I'm going to describe in the next couple view graphs. This is the time when I finally get to hear the play. When I've gone and assembled it, I go through that final time to smooth it. And finally, I can hear what's going on. And all those things I said, oh, I wish my character had said something different because I didn't know that's where this conversation was going to go. Multi-voice tracking. So I want to have two people talking here at the same time. When I assembled the play, I put a note here that I was going to have to stack up two voices. And all I had done was just paste them into the same track to make it very easy. But now if I'm going smoothing, I have gone and used the track tab I've created a new mono track. You go over here to tracks, you can create a track, and then I've dragged it up here to be right over this one. And so then I decide, okay, now I'm going to have to go and I want this to end up so these two people are talking at the same time. Before you go and paste this thing in here, so they're both talking at the same time, you have to turn off synchronizing. See the little clock faces here? This means that these tracks are all locked together. If I went in here and just did a paste, all the tracks would move to open up enough space for me to cut something in there. I don't want that to happen. So I turn off synchronizing, and now I can paste something in this track without affecting what happens here or what happens in the labels. So you turn off synchronizing, line up where I want this voice to be, put it up here. It's in the right place, paste it in. Be sure I turn synchronizing back on before I do anything else.
What does synchronizing do again? Maybe
it locks the tracks together so that if I went and pasted something, say, into the main track here, say I opened up a gap, I want to make sure that this track also moves together, or now the voices won't line up. So you want to normally have it synchronized with these little clock faces. But when you're pasting something in and manipulating it, you have to unsynchronize them so you can play with each track independently.
I see now. Thank you. Okay. I've never used that.
Do exactly the same thing. If I start to stack up, oh, here's the place where I have 3 voices stacked up. The main character, or whoever I decide was first, and then the others. And so I'm going to go through the same process of unsynchronize, paste the other voices in, and then resynchronize. Now, when I'm trying to line these up, it's very hard when you start listening to multiple voices to know which one's the one that's fast or slow or not correct. And so way over here on each Audacity track, you have little sliders for mute and for solo. So I can say, oh, I'm going to mute this track and I'm going to get these two to line up. Then I can press that one, okay, unclick mute, and maybe I want to press it on another one. I'd have to make these tracks bigger so you could actually see mute and solo on those labels. But that way I only go in a line 2 at a time. You can't go and do a whole bunch of them. You just don't know who's faster and slower. So here's an example. I've got 2 people who I'm trying to combine their tracks with the main voice here on the main track. And this person talked very slowly. So I have to go to change tempo under the edit commands. And I've gone and shrunk that track down so that now it's about the same length as the other one. I use the arrow commands. Let me go back a page here. You use the little time arrow command. This is one of the toolbars, so that I can actually then just pick that up and I can come down and I can move these tracks along so I get them all lined up here. So that lined up the beginning, but now I have, well, this is a particular phrase that had 3 words in it, let's say. And so, okay, I want to get these 3 to line up. Well, there's not very much space there, and there's too much space here. So what I'm going to do is copy some blank into there, and I'm going to cut some stuff out of here, and I'm going to do that until they all line up.
Ah, yeah.
Now, I can go through and just cut things out of someone's voice. The other voices that are there will smooth up that. You won't hear the gaps. And that's a real key to learn that. I don't have to do everything correctly to smooth it. The other voices that are speaking at the same time will kind of cover those little jumps that you might otherwise get when you suddenly go and take somebody's word endings or something like that out as you try to line these things up. You want more voices? Yep. 5's probably the limit. Other than that, it starts to get so muddy and murky that you'd have to line up not only the main words of a phrase, but even sometimes inside the words, things will start to turn to mush. So I usually go through and decide at any point in time, maybe 4 or 5 people that are going to be talking. So when I have an all or omnes in a particular part of a play. One thing, always work from left to right. When you go and unsynchronize and you say, okay, I'm going to move this over a little bit, everything in that track from there to eternity will move. So you want to only be working from the left to the right as you go through this. That's why I only label things when I first assemble the play instead of trying to assemble them initially. I really want to wait till I have everything ready so I can make that one pass from left to right. Sometimes when I do things, this was like a hurrah, and it really didn't sound nice to have a whole bunch of people all go hurrah at the same time. Hurrah, hooray, hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. Sounded a little better, a little stagger, and just made that a little easier to do. You can even make this work where I have multiple people chanting together. This was like a chorus of shepherdesses. And so I had one here in this track, and I have another shepherdess here in this track. And by going through, I can get all of these phrases to line up. So the beginning of each, in this, they say each line of the poem that they're chanting, whoops, will all line up. And so you can make this work for very long things together. So when people come in and they say, okay, we're all going to be doing this chorus together, the editor can usually make them line up. You don't have to go through and listen to somebody in one ear while you're trying to talk out of your mouth and hear yourself with the other ear. Just do it, and I can edit it here and do it visually.
Once phrase by phrase, okay.
Here,
wow.
I wanted to change a little bit of the sound texture. So I didn't want to have all four people talking all the time. So I chose and decided, okay, this person's going to be quiet for this part of the phrase, and this person's going to be quiet for that part of the phrase, and then all four people are going to talk together at the end. And I did the same thing here. Here I decided, well, this person will talk, this person will talk. But since I already had them all lined up, rather than going and cutting, which might make it a little harder to get things, I decided, okay, well, I'll just de-amplify this by 70 dB or something, so it's not there anymore. But it keeps the timing correct.
Okay. Okay, I see what you mean. You're cutting them out, but you're leaving them there, but you're just making them in.
And so I played a little bit. So I would amplify them back up again and say, well, no, I'd rather have this person here, this voice. As I play games, is to try to make sure that all the voices came out okay. And it really sounded like I had a crowd of people, a leader perhaps, in this case, a leader perhaps shouted out the first command and everyone else responded to it, instead of somebody weakly murmuring this and other people loudly saying this. So I got them in the right order that made good sense.
So Todd,
yeah.
As to background noise, when someone, do you try to get everyone's separate files to be a similar background noise level before you start splicing them together?
I usually have not noticed much trouble with background noise levels. Sometimes when there's visually obvious noise on the track, I will go through and do a cleaning. But usually I don't have to do that. Okay. Except for in normal editing, when I'm going through and cutting things out, I'm always cutting things from their file here. I'm not taking any of their noise. I'm putting it up in here, and all you're going to hear now is the narrator's background noise level throughout the whole play, so it's consistent. The only place what's going to happen is when I get to something like we're doing here, and I'm still going to have the narrator background noise in the main track. And so unless this is bad, very sufficiently loud, it just really doesn't matter very much. And in these particular cases like here, there's other sound going on while these people are talking. Yeah, there's a possibility right here in between the stanzas of this poem that you might start to hear some noise level. But usually I've gone through and cleaned it if it visually looks bad.
Okay. So you do kind of rely on the visual a little bit?
I do that because my hearing's not very good.
Okay.
So I really like doing the stuff visually. And then finally just kind of listening as I do the final grooming for getting the volumes and so on right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that's really it.
Wow. Hopelessly addicted. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Somebody asked me
question.
once why I do so many plays, and it's because I really like the way they tell a story. So I've done 300 plays or something like that at this point, because I just love that style of storytelling.
Which one? The first person plural?
Yep. So one person talks, another person talks. There's no narrator usually providing you this omniscient view of what's going on and what they're thinking and what they're going to do next. You hear what they're doing as they do it.
Okay, Todd.
Yes.
What do you do when you're in a play or you're BCing a play and someone selects a part that they are literally completely unsuited for.
I treat that
like a
as
10-year-old child selecting
that
Tom
as-
Sawyer as their
Nope.
part or something like
I
that.
treat that as part of the fun of collaboration. It's the same way I don't tell people what accents to use. I don't tell people how I'm going to cast it. I always do these things neutral gender, so anybody can play any part. And I'm usually excited by the collaborative results that I get. Sometimes you may have said, gee, I never thought of that as being read by a 10-year-old person before. Oh, well, maybe it's just a very young princess or something like that as we go through this particular play. Yeah, what I get is what I get. And it's always new and different and kind of exciting. It's not my vision of what the play ends up. It's kind of the whole collective team of readers on that project produce a result. Somebody doesn't like it, let's offer a version 2 of this play.
Can I just recollect here, Todd? When I was starting out in this, I asked for some guidance from you about how to play a character, and you said, no, I'm not going to give you any guidance, just do your own thing.
That's correct. We're doing this as a hobby. It's not my hobby to put your play together and use your voice. It's your hobby to contribute your feeling about a character to this performance.
Okay.
Todd, could you stop sharing your screen so I can see the faces of people as they
there you go.
I didn't say that.
Todd, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I have found, I don't have a sophisticated computer or anything like this, but I've found that when I start recording sections of 45 minutes and longer, that Audacity will at least it takes a long time to save the file. I haven't noticed a lot of trouble with playback and that kind of thing, but you know, you're working with a lot of data.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have a powerful computer to do that?
No, I've just got a little Dell desktop over here.
So you don't see any difficulty with working with so many various.
No, just a little desktop here. You know,
Oh, that's interesting. That's great.
$150 kind of thing at Best Buy.
Wow.
Okay.
Because
Well,
Audacity eats up resources and RAM and all that.
Yeah, it does.
It is. I find it to be very greedy.
Oh, and sometimes I'll end up with a play act that can be well over an hour. And I may have to cut it into multiple files to actually be able to upload it. I had one play I did earlier this year where I had to have 3 files for each act because they were like 2.5 hours long. They weren't 2.5 hours worth of reader speaking, but there was a lot of narration that described the way the scene was set up all the time. And the author didn't apparently know that people knew how to act, so he was always telling them what to do while they were acting. But I was having it with a master file of 2.5 hours, and it still worked fine on Audacity.
Go. I'm amazed. I really am.
I save an awful lot, and I also I uploaded the stuff to LibriVox as soon as I have a draft, so that I know, okay, that's saved, and now if I have to, I can always download it again from there. But I've never really had a problem.
Okay, one question about your technique of you have multiple files up. Let's say you've got 8 files for an act. You said you use you adjust their volume in one swell foop. Is that correct? You use what to adjust all the volumes to the same volume?
What I do is let's see if I can get this to work here.
MP3.
I come up here to in Analyze.
Yeah.
In Analyze, there's a thing called Replay Gain.
Yeah.
And Replay Gain will tell you how many dB it is off.
Each of them? Each
so
of
if I will go through each track in turn. And line it up.
Okay.
And so, okay, this one says it'll say, okay, you're 2.1 dBs high. And I then use the amplify effect to make it 2.1 dB lower. I'll come up here.
Okay. Your replay gain is in analyze rather than effect?
Correct. Yes. The replay gain is, so that just tells you how far you are off, and then you go back and fix it.
Mine is in effect.
Oh, okay. Well, my version might be different. Sometimes you run into trouble where, like this voice particular here, you can see it has some spiky things. And so in order to get it amplified where I need to, I might have had to go and do a compression in order to get rid of, make some of the peaks a little lower or something like that.
Okay. So you do each one. I thought you did them all as a, like, you line them all
No.
up.
Yeah, I go through each one after the other. Get them all set. You can see I also have the timing is all identical between them also. So that I can see, okay, that's a so many second gap, and I have them all arranged here so I can see that as I'm going through.
You know, Kevin, you can use, rather than going up to either effects or the other category to open replay gain, you can go to your keystrokes, your preferences keystrokes. And like I've got replay gain, I just type in the letter V and it opens up the replay gain screen, and it doesn't matter which of the drop down menus it's in.
Right.
Excellent. Yes.
Right.
I'm gonna do that, Michelle. Now that you mention it, because I use that quite a lot. I'm gonna set my V key to do that. Cool.
Yeah.
What you brought up here is the amount of love and work that goes into these dramatic things, Todd. I am very impressed, and I'm grateful.
I think it's a lot of fun of taking these disparate inputs and
that's what it's about.
them.
Yes, you take all these things and you put them together and they sound so nice. But that brings me to my next topic, which is next week. We're going to be talking about how do people listen to LibriVox. Hopefully, Michelle will still be available to tell us how she listens.
Mm-hmm.
I think she uses an iPhone.
I use the iPhone and I use the LibriVox app, the paid for app. And I also use the podcasts app from iTunes. And I can demonstrate those, and then maybe other people can show how they listen.
I have invited the lady that works with the LibriVox app. As you all know, this is not part of LibriVox. This is an outside company that has made an app they call the LibriVox app. Mm-hmm. On our Facebook, there's a group called LibriVox Listeners and People, and she posted on there. So I invited her to come and say this app, because she's looking for ideas on how to improve it. I use it and it works pretty good. So we'll be talking about that. And then we'll be talking about book coordinating, which is what Todd's talking about. Mm-hmm. And I may have mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. This is the 90% of the work that goes on at LibriVox is done by book coordinators. These are the people that actually put the time in to find books, to set them up, to take care of new readers when they come in, to do everything that's necessary to get that book to a PLOK status. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about how do you find books? What are the pitfalls? What to avoid? What's the joys for those that maybe haven't done a book BC, in other words, to do that. So we'll be talking all about that, and I'm hopefully to get some people will step forward and say, "Hey, I'm BC'd and it was horrible." Like that.
Right. I'll talk about the heartbreaks.
I ripped my hair out with
you. You talk joy, I'll talk heartbreak.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, because there is a lot of heartbreak in BC. The first one I did was with Miss Stav. Miss Stav, if anybody in here knows her, she talked me into doing a romance novel. Some of these Italian, but she got me to do it, and I did. Okay. Any more questions? If not, I want to thank everybody for being here.
I just have one question
Yes.
from the other side of the microphone for Todd. I do a lot of plays, and I was wondering, aside from spacing my lines out, what can I do to help you with the enormous task of editing? Can I do something else to make it easier for you?
Make sure you have all your lines actually in there. That's since I'm doing some of the stuff by eye, someone leaves a line out, I may not find out I skipped something for a long time.
Oh. Is it 5-second delay, or not delay, but a pause, or just?
I don't particularly care how long it is, so long as you saw that picture there. I need them really visible, and I can't imagine there being too big a space. 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 1 second? No, because people leave 1 second pauses
between
in their normal talking, right? And so I like really big gaps. Hopefully someone's already cleaned it as clean as they think it needs to be. And if they happen to come in and they've already done the noise level, I'm sorry, the actual amplification, so it's going to be 0, 0 as far as the analyzer is concerned, then I know that it's going to be fine. If they have a really spiky sound, I won't have to play games with compressor and all that kind of stuff to try to make the sounds come out right.
You have a PL, or I should say a PLer, before you begin your work, correct?
Absolutely. I do not do any assembly until every reader file has been PL'd. And I have Sonia, Kitty in the forum, who does most of the PLs for the plays I've been. And if ever there's a candidate for sainthood, a good DPL is that every time.
Amen.
Haven't talked about
She makes
them
my
either.
job almost trivial, because she's already caught all the errors, and has really encouraged people when, well, optional, the PL doesn't really cover this, but it would be better if you did this. Yeah.
She's very tactful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good question.
She's very,
Matteo.
very lovely and encouraging.
Yeah, I'll say we like each other. We do a good job here. I want to thank everybody for coming. If you don't have any more exciting, wonderful things to talk about right now, I'm going to close the meeting.
Thank you, Phil. It's really nice
next
to-
week.
Thank
Same
you,
time
Bill,
next week.
and thank you, Todd. Both
Thank you,
are
everybody.
Very informative.
Thank you, Phil.
Ciao, Bello.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay, bye-bye.
Arrivederci.